All right, so today we're going to be focusing in on governments. All students will be able to identify the major forms of governments and detail their characteristics. So what is a government? A government is a system that regulates or provide basic rules that people within a city, state, country, or empire must abide by or live according to. So here are a few things that are duties of a government. So the first one, they make and enforce laws. The second one, they regulate business and trading by businesses. They provide aid to people who are in need. They develop militaries to prevent invasions from outside countries or groups of people. And then they find ways to shape the culture and the economy within that country. All right, so one of the broad aspects of government are actually, we'll say two. You have unlimited government and limited government. So let's look at unlimited forms of government. Unlimited forms of government are governments that have strong centralized leaderships. And when I say strong centralized government or leaderships, what that means is it is controlled by a person or a group that can do whatever they want to within the structure of the government within that country. So you have like one person who has all the power, and that power is centralized, and that power has no limits to it. They do as they want, they do as they please. They could even take your life if they wanted to, because that person is the all-powerful figure in that form of government. A few of these types of government, what you guys will find is dictatorships, totalitarian governments. There are a few others, but primarily in dictatorships, totalitarian governments, and monarchies. The next one we have limited forms of government, and limited forms of government are governments with rules. Those rules are defined by documents like constitutions. The people who are part of the government have rules that they have to live according to. They normally can't take your life, your property without going through a process which is tied back to the rules that the government must function by. And so these types of the limited form of government is normally in democracies. You have democracies, representative governments, any type of government where citizens have power and say. All right, so the first form that we have an anarchy, and anarchy isn't an ideal. Anarchy isn't a real form of government. There has never been an anarchy on earth throughout history. So basically, anarchy is the absence of government. So basically, there isn't a government, there isn't an institution that provides laws or tell people what to do. People have absolute freedom. They do what they want to, and the government has little to no, the government has no control over those people because there actually isn't a government. A lot of people believe that anarchy will lead to chaos because there isn't an institution to provide rules and set forth the rules, and everybody is able to do what he or she pleases. The next form of government is a monarchy. And a monarchy is, throughout history, is one of the oldest form of governments. And a monarchy is a government that's ruled by a king or a queen. Their power is hereditary. And what that means is you have to be born into power. It's based on bloodline. So, when you look at the dynastic rulerships of many of these kingdoms who had kings and queens, many of these people, this is just a random fact too, many of them married, and they married their cousins because they wanted to keep the bloodlines within the family. There are even some documented situations to where brothers and sisters married each other within a monarchy because they did not want to allow the power of controlling the government into another family. Monarchies are based on bloodlines. It's a king and a queen. And so once the king and the queen have children, somebody within the bloodline or one of the children are expected to be the next generation of rulers. So once the monarch dies, the king or queen dies, the next family member up becomes the king or queen. All right, so the next form of government that we have is a dictatorship. That's dictatorship. A dictatorship is a form of government where whoever's the leader holds absolute authority. That person or group of people makes all of the decisions. So if that person wants to take your house, your land, your property, your wife, your husband, your dog, your cat, whatever, he or she can, because he or she is the absolute ruler of the country. Normally, these types of rulers rule or set the authority by having a strong military. The military maintains the rule. Anyone that goes against the dictator or against the laws that he or she thinks should be put forth is normally killed, and the dictators control all aspects of its citizens' lives. Okay, so the next form of government we have is a totalitarian government. And a totalitarian government is an authoritarian government where the power is concentrated in the hands of a single person, very, very closely aligned to a dictator. But a totalitarian government can also be ruled by a small group of people. And so in a totalitarian government, the leaders once again pass laws without the input of the citizens, and the government looks to control all aspects of the citizen's life. A totalitarian government is pretty much the same as a dictatorship. You have a leader who uses the military to control groups of people. The next form of government we have is a theocracy. That's a theocracy. And a theocracy is a form of government where the citizens or the government officials, they are expected to have or get their leadership from some sort of religion or religious book. So the laws in a theocracy is rooted in religious practices. The government power is normally unlimited, being that the person is considered to be chosen by God to be the ruler of the country. That person can do whatever he or she wants to do. And when you go back and you look at monarchies, dictatorships, totalitarian, and theocracies, would you say that those are limited or unlimited forms of government? If you answered unlimited form of government, you are correct, because all of those are strong centralized forms of government. All right, so the next one we have is a direct democracy. And a direct democracy is a government that is by the people. Citizens are the ultimate source of government. So citizens come together and they decide and vote directly on the laws that they want to pass, and they also vote directly on who they want to be their leaders. This form of government normally works in small countries or in small city-states. When you look at Athens, which was one of the city-states in Greece, they had a direct democracy. And so just to kind of summarize it, in a direct democracy, every citizen has a say in the government, and every citizen can vote on the rules, and every citizen could, say, hey, I want to bring forth this rule, and then they'll vote on it. The next one we have is a republic or a representative government. And so in a republic or a representative government, the government is by and for the people, but the people elect or vote for their elected citizen representatives. So the people who are controlling the government in a republic and a representative democracy are citizens. They are elected to office by other citizens. And most of them have limited terms. The terms could be either 2 years, 4 years, or 8 years. Within a republic or a representative democracy, you have a constitution. Most of the time you have a constitution, and the constitution lays out what the elected officials can and cannot do. And the constitution also lists what people can and can't do in the government. It also gives parameters of how people who are the elected officials can and cannot act. And so we're going to stop right here. You guys are going to complete the assignment for today using this PowerPoint. Feel free to ask me or send me any questions that you may have.